Falling for a Shadow. Chapter 1. The First Glance. The first time I saw Sophia, she was standing under an old oak tree, her dark hair tangled in the wind, her hands clutching a book to her chest. I was 8 years old, watching from a distance, too nervous to approach. She was different from the other kids, quieter, more thoughtful. While they played and shouted, she sat alone, lost in a world of words. "Why don't you go talk to her?" My mother nudged me. I shook my head. "She won't like me." My mother smiled. "You won't know until you try." So I did. I walked up to her, my heart hammering, and blurted out the first thing that came to mind. "What are you reading?" She looked up, her brown eyes studying me. "Alice in Wonderland." I nodded as if I understood, though I had never read it. "Is it good?" "It's wonderful," she said, then closed the book and tilted her head. "You're Elias, right?" That was how it began. A friendship, a connection, a tether that would bind me to her for the rest of my life, whether I wanted it or not. Chapter 2. Growing Pains. Years passed, and our friendship deepened. We walked to school together, shared secrets, and dreamed about the future. But as we grew older, something changed inside me. I started noticing the way her smile lingered on other boys, the way she laughed just a little too loudly at Daniel Carter's jokes. I hated it. "You okay?" she asked one evening, sitting on the hood of my car as we watched the stars. I nodded, swallowing the words I wanted to say. "I love you. Can't you see it?" Instead, I said, "Just thinking about college." She sighed. "Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?" She didn't know the real reason I was afraid. I wasn't scared of leaving home. I was scared of leaving her. Chapter 3. The Boy She Chose. Then came him. Lucas Harrington was everything I wasn't. Charming, confident, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and own it. The first time Sophia mentioned him, I felt something crack inside me. "He asked me out," she said, twirling a strand of hair around her finger. "I think I might say yes." I forced a smile. "That's great." She beamed, oblivious to the storm inside me. "You'll like him, Elias. He's really nice." I met Lucas a week later. He was polite, friendly, and completely unaware that I wanted nothing more than to see him disappear. But he made her happy, and that was all that mattered. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Chapter 4. A Love Unspoken. I became an observer in my own life, watching from the sidelines as Sophia fell deeper in love with Lucas. I was still her best friend, but it wasn't the same. One night, at a party, I found her sitting alone on the balcony, staring at the city lights. "Where's Lucas?" I asked. She shrugged, talking to some friends. There was something in her voice, hesitation, uncertainty. "Are you happy?" I asked, the words slipping out before I could stop them. She looked at me, surprised. "Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be?" I wanted to tell her everything, how I had loved her since we were kids, how every time she laughed, it felt like sunlight breaking through my ribs. But instead, I just nodded. "I'm glad," I lied. Chapter 5. The wedding invitation years passed. Life moved on. I tried dating, but no one ever compared to her. Then, one day, an envelope arrived in the mail. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of Sophia Martinez and Lucas Harrington." The words blurred as I stared at them. I should have expected it. I should have prepared myself. But nothing could have softened the blow. That night, I drank until the world spun, until the pain dulled into a distant ache. But it never really left. Chapter 6. Letting Go. The day of the wedding, I stood at the back of the church, watching as she walked down the aisle. She was breathtaking, and she was never going to be mine. As they exchanged vows, I felt something inside me break for the final time. I left before the reception started, before I had to watch them dance, laugh, kiss. Outside, the world felt different, lighter, as if something had been lifted from me, For years, I had been in love with a shadow, chasing something that was never meant to be mine. And finally, I was ready to let her go. Chapter 7. The Goodbye That Never Came. I should have moved on. I told myself that over and over again. But even after the wedding, even after watching her say I do to someone else, I couldn't let go. I buried myself in work, avoided relationships, pretended I was fine. But some wounds don't heal with time. They just settle deeper into your bones. One night, months after the wedding, my phone buzzed. Sophia, can we meet? I stared at the message for a long time before replying. When and where? We met at a quiet cafe, the same one we used to go to as teenagers. She looked the same, beautiful, radiant, but there was something different in her eyes, a kind of weariness I hadn't seen before. Lucas is out of town, she said, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. I didn't ask why that mattered. Instead, I said, You okay? She hesitated. I don't know. I frowned. Sophia. She looked up at me then, and for the first time in years, I thought I saw something in her gaze, something more than friendship. But maybe I was just imagining it, clinging to a hope that had long since died. I miss you, she said softly. My breath caught in my throat. I'm right here, I whispered. She shook her head. Not like that. I miss us the way we used to be. I swallowed the lump in my throat. We can't go back, Sophia. I know. Her voice was barely above a whisper. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. For a second, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, things could have been different. But then she pulled away. And I knew. She wasn't mine. She never had been. And she never would be. Chapter 8. The Breaking Point. I stopped answering her messages after that. I couldn't keep doing this, being her safety net, her second choice, loving her from a distance while she gave her heart to someone else. Then one night the phone rang. Lucas. My stomach twisted. He never called me. When I answered, his voice was quiet. Elias, it's Sophia. I felt a cold dread settle over me. What happened? She's in the hospital. I don't remember driving there. I don't remember running through the hallways, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I only remember seeing her lying there, pale and fragile, her wrist wrapped in bandages. Lucas stood beside her bed, his hands clenched into fists. She didn't tell me she was struggling. His voice broke. I thought she was happy. I wanted to say something. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to tell him that of course she wasn't happy. She had been fading right in front of him, and he never noticed. But I didn't. Instead, I sat beside her and took her hand in mine. Her eyes fluttered open. Elias, she whispered. I forced a smile. Hey. A tear slipped down her cheek. I'm sorry. For what? For everything. I swallowed hard. Don't be. But the truth was, I didn't know if I could ever forgive her. Not for marrying him, not for keeping me tethered to a love that was never real, and not for making me believe, just for a moment, that I ever had a chance. Chapter 9. A love that was never meant to be. Sophia recovered. Lucas took her home, and I walked away, for good this time. I packed my bags and left town, leaving behind the ghost of a love that had consumed me for years. I didn't say goodbye, because sometimes the hardest thing you can do for someone you love is let them go.